Welcome back. An absolutely shocking incident being reported from Kerala. This is a nursing college in Kottayam. First-year students have alleged that they were stripped by seniors with dumbbells hung on their private parts and threatened with knives. The victims detailed the series of violence acts the seniors inflicted on them for months. This was recorded in the FIR as well. The seniors allegedly inflicted serious injuries on them using compasses as well as similar sharp objects, after which they would force them to apply lotion on the wounds to induce further pain. Their peers were forced to record these acts of assault as videos. The complaint also states the senior students consistently extorted money from juniors on Sundays to purchase alcohol, following which they assaulted them. In fact, there are also reports, multiple sources that go on to say that it was eventually one of them who found courage to reach out to their family, who instead encouraged him to go and approach the police. That's how this entire incident did come out in the fore. 5 third-year students have been arrested for committing this crime. The police has confirmed. In fact, they have been sent to judicial custody as well. They have been sent to 14-day judicial custody. Hands and legs of some of the students were even tied before they were stabbed as the seniors filmed their brutal actions on camera and threatened the younger students with dire consequences. In fact, this comes weeks after a 15-year-old died by suicide. His mother has alleged that the brutal ragging had crushed her son and pushed him towards death. In a statement posted on Instagram, Rajna PM had alleged that her son, Mihir Ahmed, was beaten up, verbally abused, and forced to lick the toilet seat. Let's listen in.
ഒന്നാം വർഷ വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾ നവംബർ 4 ക്ലാസ് തുടങ്ങിയതാണ്. നമ്മൾ കുട്ടികളുടെ ക്ലാസ് തുടങ്ങുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് തന്നെ സീനിയർ ബാച്ചിന് അഡ്വക്കേറ്റ് വിവേകിനെ കൊണ്ട് ആൻറ്റി റാഗിങ്ങിൻ്റെ അവയർനെസ് ക്ലാസ്സുകൾ സീനിയർ ബാച്ചിന് മുഴുവൻ കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നതാണ്. കുട്ടികളെ ട്യൂഷൻ വരുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ ആൻറ്റി റാഗിങ്ങിൻ്റെ അഫിഡാവിറ്റ് കുട്ടികളുടെ കയ്യിൽ നിന്ന് എടുക്കുന്നതാണ്. ആൻറ്റി റാഗിങ് കമ്മിറ്റിയുണ്ട്. കമ്മിറ്റിയുടെ ഫ്രീക്വൻ്റായിട്ടുള്ള മീറ്റിങ്ങുകൾ നടത്തുന്നുണ്ട്. സ്ക്വാഡ്, ആൻറ്റി റാഗിങ് സ്ക്വാഡ് കോളേജിലുണ്ട്. ഹോസ്റ്റലിൽ നിരന്തരം ഇൻസ്പെക്ഷൻ നടത്തുകയും അറ്റൻഡൻസ് ബുക്ക് മെയിൻറ്റെയിൻ ചെയ്യുന്നതുമാണ്. കുട്ടികൾ പക്ഷേ യാതൊന്നും റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്തിരുന്നില്ല. ഒന്നാം വർഷ വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾക്ക് ഇപ്പോഴും കോളേജിൽ ക്ലാസ്സുകളാണ് നടക്കുന്നത്. ക്ലാസ് റൂം, ഈ പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ റൂമിനും ഓഫീസ് റൂമിനും തൊട്ടടുത്തുള്ള ക്ലാസ് റൂമാണ് നമ്മൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി ഡെസിഗ്നേറ്റ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. അതായത് ഈ ഒന്നാം നിലയിൽ ഒന്നാം വർഷ നഴ്സിംഗ് വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളുടെ ക്ലാസ് റൂം മാത്രമാണ് ഉള്ളത്. അതൊരു റാഗിങ്ങിന് പ്രൊഹിബിറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് തന്നെയുള്ള മെഷറായിട്ടാണ് ക്ലാസ് റൂം അങ്ങനെ എടുത്തത്.
I'm being joined at this point by Professor Tanveer Ejaz, who's a member for the R.K. Raghavan Committee on Ragging, as well as Arvind Kumar Jain, who's a former DGP for Uttar Pradesh, as well as Vikram Singh, the former DGP for Uttar Pradesh and Chancellor for Noida International University. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining me. Well, let me straight come to you, Professor Tanveer Ejaz. Absolutely shocking, absolutely shocking. We're talking about 2025. This is a nursing college where children will eventually possibly take to the profession of nursing. And here you have an absolute horrifying incident really coming to the fore, where children have accused that they were stripped. First-year students have accused that they were stripped. There were dumbbells which were hung from their private parts. What to make out of this, Professor? Because the principal at least claims that there were these anti-ragging squad, there were these anti-ragging awareness classes that were given.
I think it's any ragging case is absolutely very shocking for all of us, because despite an all India effort to curb ragging, to curb this menace of ragging, which was done long time back by the Raghavan Committee, and the Supreme Court accepted the committee report as it is, and therefore it became a sort of a law for the whole country that the committee reports largely talked about some of the punitive measures and also some of the preventive measures, right? So still we see that the cases are going on. So it's a matter of great shame for the educational institutions. But you'll be surprised to know that most of the ragging cases, when we were doing the research, most of the ragging cases, they come up in the army college, the medical college, the engineering college, right? And we understood that the problem here is about the manner in which the whole society is so deeply divided. So it is context. I mean, one will have to get into the real issue of the ragging, that what division is there, because at the end of the day, ragging is a power relation game in a small college or a university. It's a power relation game, and that power relation game gets reproduced,
That's
in the
true.
manner in which the whole society is divided. So that is one issue I think one has to take, and the university will have to make a very swift action, right? And should not see, because we understood that most of the cases are not reported. They are just like rape. There are so many cases which are not reported. So ragging cases are also brushed under the carpet, and it is taken as an indiscipline act, right, rather than as a criminal act or a criminal offense. It is mostly brushed under the carpet as a
Right.
as an indiscipline act. So that is the major problem that keeps on happening. Yeah.
Arvind Kumar Jain, if I can get you in. In fact, we just heard Professor Tanveer Ajaz speak about that, and that's really what I want to take forward. It's the cases of ragging being unreported. Across instances which come to the limelight eventually in a very, very sorry state, where the child is either hospitalized, where the student has been scarred possibly for life, where the student is injured. Extreme cases which do get reported in the media. Most of it has a backdrop where it's been going on for a very long time and it goes unreported. Even in this case, this seemed to have gone on for a very long time before one student went on to go and speak to his parents. And that's when the parents encouraged this student to go and speak to the police. How often and how normal is this behavior in your experience, sir? That, I mean, children just don't report it.
Yes, children don't report it because they have to stay in that institution for several years, along with those seniors only. At times, ragging is not done in this manner. It's a friendly sort of ragging, which is generally allowed even at IITs and IIMs and in the universities. But the details which I have read, I'm really surprised. Number one, what action has been taken against the hostel warden or against the principal? Because this was going on for several months, since November 2024. It is not possible that it was not in the knowledge of principal and the warden, and they simply ignored it. I think even they should be held accountable. Number two, the recruitment policy, the selection procedure of these nursing students should be looked into. I think they are recruiting criminals. The horrifying acts which I have read, extorting money from juniors for drinking liquor and committing all sorts of atrocities. I think they are recruiting criminals in this in nursing college. This should be looked into. The selection procedure should be looked into. There is, I think, basically something wrong with the system. The offences which have been committed in Anti-Ragging Act, there are various sections, 3, 4, 5, 7. There are old IPC sections of 323, 384, extortion, causing injury, 323, 500. Yeah.
No, I understand, Arvind Kumar Jain, what you're saying, but here's my question. I mean, how often do you hear of instances? I have just possibly heard 2 instances in the past 10 years, for that matter, where there was an absolute crackdown on the faculty or the institution where ragging really was reported. Usually, there would be scapegoats. There would be 1 or 2 people who would be held. There would be action taken against them, and the matter is wrapped up. where is that accountability from an institutional perspective? Because you do have the rules, but at the end of the day, the student has to continue in that institution. There, largely the institutional system doesn't change. Those who are in the institution continue to be in the institution.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. Once a new entrant joins the institution, generally the senior professors, their teachers, they talk to them in a cordial atmosphere. They encourage them if there is any ragging, it should be reported. I think it was not being done in this institution. Otherwise, these boys would have reported it to their seniors in the institution itself. There is helpline for anti-ragging. Such big placards should be put and all over the place in the hostels also, that if there is ragging, you can report it at such and such this thing website or this thing. This should have been done. It shows that there is a systemic failure at this institution.
And it's unfortunate, as you're mentioning, because this is not just one random institution that cropped up somewhere. This is a government-run institution. This is a government nursing college. So obviously systems should have been in place. And if I can get in Vikram Singh at this point, Vikram Singh, you've been a former top cop and you're also a chancellor for the Noida International University. So from a person who knew it legally to a person who's practically living it with students, where's the lacuna? What's not falling in place for this behavior to just continue in institutions?
Sneha, you have put a very pertinent point, and I would say that the moment a student enters a university or a college, he feels the time of romancing has just come, and this is the time to make the most of your life. And yes, the moment you are 12 months senior, you feel you're entitled to bully and rag students, but the law is very strict. 2011, you had the Prohibition of Ragging Act, but yes, lofty ideals, but lowly conduct. We have every student swearing on an affidavit that he will not indulge in ragging. Number two, there are placards that are apparently placed. There's briefing of students, but yes, to identify a single college where ragging does not happen. But in this case, it assumed almost sadistic and perverse proportions. And to that extent, I agree with my illustrious colleague Arvind Kumar Jain that it is not only the Prohibition of Ragging Act, but also the Bharati Nyaya Sanhita. And the sections that I would recommend strongly would be 114, 115, 109, which we have tried in my university also, that if anybody indulges in ragging, there will be consequences for the actual participants and also for the willing accessories. When I say willing accessories, the warden of the hostel, the faculty who are there, also the student welfare committees, all will be responsible, but they failed in their duty to give due protection to the students who were in their charge. And therefore, I would say you should have a system where you should identify the fault lines, try to meet the students, get information, see what happens after the class hours, and don't allow grass to grow underneath your feet, because if you do, you don't deserve to be a faculty in a university. Then I would say that one case registered, and which I have done, that all those perpetrators, they should not only go under the Ragging Act, but also under substantive provisions where the penalty is almost 7 years. You would say it's very harsh. But the question is, for a person who indulges in this level of perversion, sadism, and criminality, he deserves no mercy.
Right. Professor Tanveer, if I can get you in, we had an earlier panelist also mention this, and this is also a reality. Ragging, some people call ragging as innocent ragging as well, a form of interaction with the juniors, an icebreaker of sorts. Now, what is innocent ragging and what is criminal ragging? Because ragging is an offense.
Yeah, I mean, according to my perspective, there's no friendly ragging, right? There is no innocent ragging, because, even a small snub to junior on the basis of their caste, maybe, on the basis of their region, that might lead to ragging later stage, or maybe some sort of a violence later stage in terms of violence between senior and junior. So in my understanding, there is nothing called friendly ragging. Yes, of course, there has to be interactions between seniors and juniors, right? But those interactions have to be very civil, right? And the idea of civility, the idea of gentle manliness, that needs to be perpetrated in the institution. But that lacks. We do not have psychologists, we do not have mentors, we do not have, all these things are very important. And let me tell you, this is nothing but one of the panelists said that, of course, the teachers and so ragging takes place only because there is a deep division in the university. So administration is on one side, the teachers on the other side, the students on the other side. All of them, they are the major stakeholders, and then there starts the power game, right? Who is more superior? And the seniors, by the virtue of the fact that they think that they can dominate, some sort of sadomasochism is there in their mind. They can dominate, and patriarchy also plays a very big role, in this whole concept. We have mentioned it in the Raghavan committee that how patriarchy plays a role, because patriarchy at the end of the day is power relations between the ragger and the ragged. So therefore, I think we need to understand that university or colleges, these are places of civil dialogue. These are places of civil society. Some sort of civility has to be there, and the onus then goes on to the head of the administration, who has to create conditions where such kind of civility persists.
Right. In fact, I don't want to take away from the fact that institutions are responsible. It's a criminal offense if ragging does happen in an institution, and an institution fails to protect the children who are in this case. You spoke about caste, you spoke about other aspects. I mean, there was just another case a few weeks ago where a teenager was, allegedly forced into death, ragged into death. He allegedly died by suicide just because he was ragged for how he looked, for his skin color. That's criminal by all means. But Arvind Kumar Jain, going beyond institutions and talking about families, I want to bring in this point to families that are watching. When you're sending your children possibly into college, into university, it's a very different environment. It's possibly for the first time where you're treated as adults, where you're responsible for your behavior, you're not being watched very closely, all sorts of things. And of course, a lot of misnomers that are associated with universities as well. But Arvind Kumar Jain, how important is it for families to keep that communication going?
Communication should be there. Communication lines should be open all the time. It is very important. Generally, whenever the students
and particularly to boys, because many would say, boys are not somebody, families may not keep in touch with boys regularly. There's this old notion that girls, you need to be more protective about them. Boys, you don't need to be that protective. However wrong that is, but that is a notion ingrained in some part of the society, at least. Arvind Kumar Jain.
I think that channel of communication should be open with both boys and girls. Ragging takes place in hospitals which are exclusively for girls also. It happened with my daughter also in one of the IITs, prestigious IITs. So it can happen anywhere. We used to guide her. We used to talk to her. We used to talk to her that if you want that we should report the matter. She said, no, I will handle it on my own. So level of channel of communication should be open with children. From all the families, from the mother's side, father's side, and if anything unnatural is taking place, he should be supported. And if need be, parents can visit the institution, or they can report directly to the SP of the district. It should be done. It should be done before it gets too late. Because my child should be protected from such elements.
And what about this notion? What about that thought that comes to people's head, to families? Because not everybody comes from a position of privilege. For some people, it's a lot of money that's gone into the admission. For some people, it's the future of their child, so on and so forth. So for anybody who may just take a back step as a family and just say, maybe this can just be resorted interpersonally, maybe they don't want to take this legally forward, what will happen to the child, what will happen to the child's future? To thoughts that come like this to any family member, what would your response be? Particularly because you've dealt with your daughter's case as well.
Yeah, I think one shouldn't bother about these things. The matter should be reported. It should be taken very seriously before it leaves a scar on your child. or before anything, some mishap takes place, it should be reported. It should be reported because, as far as my knowledge goes, the ragging standard of ragging is very bad in medical colleges and nursing schools. I have heard a lot about it, and not in IITs, IIMs. This type of ragging is not there. The details which I have read about this Kottayam nursing college, I think criminals are being recruited.
I understand what you're trying to say, so we're totally out of time, so we'll have to wrap this discussion. But thank you very much, Professor Tanveer Ejaz, and thank you very much, Arvind Kumar Jain, for joining us with your time and your perspective. As well as Mr. Arvind Kumar Jain, thank you very much for opening up about how you held your daughter and stood by her as she went through her experience of being dragged at a prestigious IIT institution as well. Vikram Singh was with us earlier as well. Thank you to him for joining us. That's all we have for you in this bulletin. Up next at 7 o'clock, my colleague Shreya Upadhyay takes it over.